When you decide to cut off contact with the narcissist, you might believe that it marks the end, that all the pain will finally be put to rest. But in truth, it is only the beginning, because the final battle is no longer fought between two people. It takes place within you. You see, for a narcissist, silence is unbearable. They survive on your reactions, on every message you send, every explanation you give, every tear you shed. Each time you respond, even just a little, they gain more fuel to feel important, to feel in control. So when you withdraw your attention, they begin to unravel. They will try to act fine, to appear happy, or even to make you feel guilty for staying silent. But what few people tell you is this: silence doesn't just unsettle them, it also challenges you. Because in that quiet space, the echoes they left behind begin to rise. Doubt, guilt, emptiness, and the craving for the emotional intensity that once made you believe that pain was proof of love. You may find yourself wavering, restless, even tempted to go back just to get closure. And it is precisely there that the healing begins, not when they change, but when you dare to face the truth, that they live to manipulate, while you once loved so deeply that you forgot yourself. In this video, we'll walk through that journey together, understanding why they pretend to be fine, how they use guilt and confusion to pull you back, and most importantly, discovering the quiet power of no contact when silence is no longer an escape, but a declaration of freedom. I choose peace, even if it means walking through loneliness. Because sometimes, it's only within that seemingly empty silence that you finally begin to hear your own voice. You know, from the very moment you choose silence, that seemingly empty space, a quiet collapse begins to unfold. Because for the narcissist, it isn't just silence, it's a sign that they are losing their power. A narcissist survives on the illusion of control. They believe that if they shift their tone, you'll shift your emotions. If they stay silent, you'll grow anxious. If they appear hurt, you'll come back. They live off your reactions, every message you send, every tear you shed, every attempt you make to explain yourself. Each reaction, no matter how small, becomes the fuel that makes them feel significant, powerful, in control. But the moment you cut off all connection is the very moment their entire structure begins to crack. For them, your silence is unbearable, because in their world, you are supposed to react, to explain, to get angry, to do something that proves they still have an effect on you. So when you don't respond, they become unsettled. They grow confused because they can no longer read your emotions or measure how much space they still occupy in your mind. And in that panic, they start to test their control again, sending a casual message, posting a coincidental photo that stirs old memories, or putting on an emotional display of remorse. Yet, none of these actions come from genuine feeling. The only purpose is to see whether they can still make you react. To them, any reaction, love or anger, is a victory. It proves they still matter. That's why they change roles constantly. Gentle today, distant tomorrow, transformed the next. Every move is a test. But what they never expect is the power of silence. Because silence isn't emptiness. It's a boundary made visible. It says, you no longer have access to my energy. And when they realize they can't make you react, they're forced to face the emptiness within themselves, the very void they've spent a lifetime avoiding. To escape it, they rewrite the story. In that story, you're the cruel one, the cold one, the heartless one, and they, once again, are the victim. Yet, as you remain silent, as you refuse to defend or explain, their mask begins to fall apart. The outbursts, the apologies, the accusations, all reveal themselves as tools to hide insecurity. Because what they fear most isn't your anger, it's your indifference. Indifference erases them from the center. It strips them of their identity in your world. And in that moment, their illusion of power begins to crumble, quietly, but irreversibly. And then, as silence stretches on, you begin to realize that what you're facing is no longer them, but the remnants they left behind inside your mind. After going no contact, the real challenge isn't resisting the urge to text. It's learning how to stop fighting the voice of the narcissist that still echoes within you, because they don't just manipulate your actions when they're around, they leave behind a psychological program that keeps you doubting yourself long after they're gone. They are masters of confusion. Every outburst, every apology, every tender gesture was designed to make you question your own perception. They made you believe your instincts were wrong, your emotions too much, your memory unreliable until, slowly, you trusted them more than yourself. And when their voice finally goes silent, what remains is an internal version of them, still whispering the same lines. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe they weren't that bad. Maybe it was my fault. Loud. It sounds like your own voice, but it isn't. It's the residue of manipulation. The more you doubt yourself, the more you crave reassurance. And out of old habit, you seek it from the very person who broke your trust because they trained you to believe that only they could calm you down, only they could understand you. That is the most dangerous loop of all. They make you doubt, then position themselves as the cure for the pain they caused. This emotional conditioning convinces you that love must include suffering, that peace is boring, that forgiveness is proof of love. But the truth is, you were trained to endure, not to connect. The only way out is to see clearly. Self-doubt doesn't mean you're wrong, it means you've been manipulated. Healing doesn't mean forgetting, it means reconnecting with your own intuition, trusting what you see, feel, and know to be true. At first, clarity will hurt, because your mind is readjusting after long distortion. But soon, as the fog begins to lift, you'll realize that silence isn't punishment, it's detox. It flushes out the lies. It gives you back your mental freedom. And when you start remembering the small details, the lies, the hypocrisy, the reversed victim roles, you'll finally see why you accepted them. Not because you were weak, but because you believed love could heal. Now you know only truth can. Getting through this stage is painful, but it's also the beginning of real strength. Because once you realize you're not crazy, not too sensitive, not the villain in their story, you begin to take back your mind. But at a certain point in your healing, something strange begins to happen. You start to miss them. Not the person themselves, but the feeling, the intensity, the chaos, the unpredictable highs and lows that made you feel so alive. And that is one of the most deceptive illusions after leaving a narcissist. Your mind starts weaving old memories together, highlighting the tenderness, the reconciliations after the storms, the tears that made you believe, they do love me. You don't miss the pain, you miss the temporary peace between the pain, and that's why it feels so deep. But the truth is, you're not missing them. You're missing the intensity they created. Because after living too long in chaos, your nervous system becomes rewired. It confuses pain with connection and drama with love. Each time they hurt you, cortisol and adrenaline flooded your body. Each time they soothed you, dopamine washed over you, creating the illusion of relief. That cycle, harm, then comfort, is what traps you in a biological addiction disguised as passion. That's why, when you finally leave, silence feels unsettling. No more arguments, no more emotional fireworks, no more adrenaline highs. And so your mind whispers, maybe I'm lonely, maybe I've lost something real. But you haven't lost anything. You're simply withdrawing from an emotional addiction. The truth is, after so much chaos, peace feels like emptiness. But that emptiness isn't loss, it's your nervous system recalibrating, learning safety again. What you call emptiness is simply the discomfort of detox. And if you can resist the urge to escape it, you'll begin to notice something. Beneath the stillness, clarity starts to rise. Clarity doesn't demand, doesn't compete, doesn't exhaust you. It just asks you to breathe, to stay, to recognize that no drama is worth your peace. When you stop confusing pain with passion, chaos with connection, you cut off the fuel that once kept the narcissist alive. They may still try texting, performing, pretending to change, but this time you won't fall for it. Because now you see the game. And once you see it, peace no longer feels like something's missing. It becomes wisdom and quiet power. As you begin to grow comfortable in your peace, no longer reacting, no longer chasing chaos, a new pattern emerges. The narcissist starts performing. To them, your silence isn't just distance, it's the loss of their stage. In their world, no audience means no identity. A narcissist lives through being seen. Every message, every reaction, every look from you once confirmed their existence. When that mirror disappears, they fall into a void they cannot fill, and instead of facing that emptiness, they do what they do best. They perform to prove they're still fine. Suddenly, they're everywhere, posting vibrant photos, writing captions like, "I've never been happier," or "A beautiful new chapter." Some even play the role of the enlightened one, preaching growth and gratitude. But don't be fooled, this isn't healing. It's a performance carefully staged for one viewer. You, because they know if you look, if you wonder, if you hesitate, they win. Every time you view their story, scroll through their page, or ask yourself, have they really changed? They regain a sense of control. To them, attention is love, and silence is punishment. Yet the truth is simple. Truly happy people don't need to prove it. Only those empty inside need to project perfection outward. In their eyes, your silence isn't neutrality, it's rejection, exile, the unbearable feeling of being erased from the center. So they cast emotional hooks, a polite text, a nostalgic post, a message through a mutual friend, each one designed to test whether they still have emotional access to you. But what they never expect is that this time, you're no longer in the audience, because you've learned that ignoring isn't cruelty, it's clarity. You're not punishing them, you're protecting your peace. And every time you refuse to respond, every time you choose stillness over reaction, their illusion of power cracks a little more. Then something beautiful happens. You stop needing to know how they are. You stop seeking closure. The overthinking quiets. They think silence erased you, but in truth, silence made you visible again. The energy you once spent maintaining that relationship now flows back into rebuilding yourself, your boundaries, your passion, your purpose. You are no longer their mirror. You are your own light now. When the light turns back toward you, when you are no longer their mirror, the narcissist unveils their final weapon, guilt. It doesn't shout, it seeps quietly, targeting the softest part of you, your empathy. Throughout the relationship, they subtly programmed you to believe that every rupture was your fault. They wrapped their shame, inadequacy, and responsibility in the language of love, then placed it on your shoulders. Every time they hurt you, they flipped the script. You're too sensitive. I didn't mean it. If you hadn't done that, I wouldn't have reacted. Slowly, you learn to apologize for feeling, not for doing. And when you finally go no contact, the illusion shatters, but the programming remains. With no one left to absorb it, the guilt echoes inside your mind. Maybe I was too harsh. Maybe I ruined everything. But the truth is that guilt doesn't prove you were wrong, it proves you were manipulated. Narcissists weaponize empathy. They know your compassion makes you pliable. Each accusation they hurled was really a disguised confession. When they called you selfish, it was because you dared to have boundaries. When they said you didn't care, it was because they couldn't love. When they claimed you ruined everything, it was because their control was slipping away. Once you recognize that pattern, guilt dissolves and clarity rises. You see that you didn't destroy the relationship, you simply stopped allowing yourself to be destroyed within it. It takes strength to hand back the weight that was never yours, and even more courage to accept that you can't heal someone who refuses to change. From that point on, healing becomes less about fixing them and more about learning to stand gently with yourself. You rewrite your inner language from "I'm to blame" to "I'm healing." You learn to say no without shame, to set boundaries without apology. You realize that empathy is a gift, but not everyone deserves access to it. Each time you stop apologizing for protecting your peace, you reclaim a piece of confidence. Each time you stop defending yourself, you reclaim your voice. And when that voice returns steady, grounded, unapologetically yours. You reclaim the power they tried to take. The day you stop blaming yourself is the day their control truly ends. Because once you understand that your peace doesn't require their permission, every invisible chain begins to fall away. At some point after you've walked through every layer of pain, guilt, confusion, and those fleeting moments when you almost went back, you'll realize a liberating truth. What the narcissist fears most isn't your absence, but your healing. Because once you heal, they lose the only power they ever had, the ability to make you doubt yourself. Deep down, they always hoped their wounds would keep you trapped, afraid to love, afraid to trust, afraid to try again. But healing doesn't begin in peace. It blooms in the wreckage. In the stillness, when you stop running and finally sit with your pain, your real voice emerges, the part of you they could never reach. Every act of recovery, every time you choose peace over reaction, dignity over pleading, you force them to face their greatest nightmare, irrelevance. For a narcissist, indifference is far more devastating than hatred because it strips away their central role in your life. They wanted to leave a wound, but what remains instead is a scar, and a scar is proof of life, proof that you survived. From there, you move with greater strength. You see red flags sooner, set boundaries faster, protect your energy with clarity. Empathy, forgiveness, and hope, once your vulnerabilities now become your power, refined through awareness. You understand now that love without boundaries is self-erasure, and real love will never ask you to abandon yourself. You no longer need revenge, apology, or closure from them. You give yourself the peaceful ending they never could. Their inability to love was never a reflection of your worth. It only showed that their heart was too small to hold the love you offered. And one day, when you can think of them without pain, only gratitude, only distance, that's when you are truly free. Because their power was never real, it was only borrowed from the part of you that didn't yet believe in yourself. Once you reclaim that part, every invisible chain falls away. No contact isn't the end of love, it's the beginning of freedom. And once you've tasted true peace, you will never trade it for chaos again.